I could say, from the Eradicator.
Hello guys, welcome to the channel, it's Irad, and so, now this is something that I really want to watch after the video that I just made about the Idris event, in which I was not necessarily very satisfied with these turn of events here, these events which seem to be driven by the marketing department, unfortunately. Hey, Angeliax, how are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you today. So I want to see what CIG has to say about these events. I suppose that I didn't watch the episodes, so you are going to see that live. These are my first-hand reaction. Yeah, I know you're usually asleep at this hour, right? And Chiliax, you're from Belgium, I remember. I forgot.
Last week was our inaugural Idris War Games test, and while that completed earlier this week with many lessons learned, and the ship itself...
Yes, many lessons learned. Please get this in as many servers as possible, not just one server where groups are coming and then the large orgs have an advantage because they call in their friends and then they call in the big content creators. Please make this event for everyone.
But still awaiting important resource management, maelstrom, multi-crew gameplay work, and more before it'll arrive permanently in the persisting universe.
Permanently. Now that's interesting. If this event arrives permanently, could this mean that everybody then could this mean the Idris will be manned by NPCs instead of devs? And on top of that, we will be able to control that Idris. Because right now, yo, Diplo, how's it going? Because right now, for example, if I see the 890 jump mission, right? It's a great mission, but you can't control the 890 jump, and that sucks. It would be awesome if we could fly the 890 jump around and mine it with our friends. No, we can't do that. And I hope that they're not going to be making the same mistake with the Idris.
Here at ISC still jumped at the chance to showcase the current artistic progress of the vehicle inside and out, as well as to enlist a few of our oldest friends in providing a sort of
I think this is the episode where they're invited John Crew, right? John Crew is coming, isn't he?
Director's commentary to the proceedings. Here's how it went.
Oh, okay. Yeah, John Crew is here. All right.
Just look at the camera, so hi.
John Crew always looks like... I'm sure he's a very nice guy in real... In camera, he's always like that. Always makes a poker face, always very serious. But I'm pretty sure he's a very nice fellow.
John Crew. I'm Nick Dearsley, part of the art director for 2042 era.
Your new title.
I don't even know what I am anymore. Shall I say that? Should I say that? That'd be good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Nate. I've not got a clue what I am anymore.
He's the one.
That'll go down well.
The one beef of the
Should we
week.
do that? Yeah.
He's the one that replaced Paul Jones.
Other days I'm that.
What do you want to be today, Nate?
I don't know what I want to be today. What should I be today? Yeah, I was the art director for the thing. There you go.
Do you want me to go first?
You can be my blood.
So he did replace Paul Jones. All right, I see. He kind of has also the Paul Jones beard. It kind of looks like definitely a Paul Jones look guy.
Okay. Hi, my name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle art director.
Hi, my name's Nate. I was the vehicle art director.
We've been asked today to give
Oh, so he's working for Squadron 42. I see.
you a little director's commentary over the Idris that you will have seen in the PU being fought over recently.
Nope, I did not see it because I was in Singapore the whole time. So they started the event just when I left, and the event finished just when I came back, of course. All right, Tactical Capital, let's have a look. Yeah,
So
those little scenes here, the team that works on those, they are absolutely hilarious. Now, I gotta say that this looks like an epic shot. the Idris here, the Gladius on the side, the Corvette there.
This has had quite a few iterations over time in terms of not the shape stayed the same, but how the breakup, the materials on it.
Yeah,
the engine the thrusters of...
Yeah, that's true. I remember I think it was Gamescom 2017 when we saw it in engine for the first time. And yeah, the shape looked the same, but yeah, the engines were yellow, The materials looked like it was glowing. It didn't look so great. They've definitely done an amazing job at making this ship look like, a killer and look like a serious entity in the game.
The shapes remain pretty true. We did make amendments to the exterior to fit the interior in because the number of spaces that we needed for Squadron sort of slowly increased. So it's a very tightly packed capital ship.
If you look at the original concept, it was quite a thin ship as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
It just couldn't fit everything in it.
I think my favourite feature from the original one was the hilarious flight of stairs that came down in the middle of the flight deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my first fix.
The flight stairs, I have no idea. Oh, look at this above Clio
And
here
we're
in all
gonna
its glory.
fly into the back of it, which is the way most players should normally enter the Idris.
Yeah, that's also what we do when we have our C2 carrier, Hercules C2 carrier with the Rat Club. And we do that with Merlins and Furies. We enter from the back and we leave from the front. And that's also what we are going to be doing with the Idris.
Landing gear deployed.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that we can comfortably fit a couple of Gladiuses. What I see, the way I see it is large orgs, they are going to put a lot of snub fighters. That ship is going to have entire squadrons of snub fighters. That's the way I see it, and that's going to be amazing. This thing is going to open its belly, and you will see swarms of Furies, swarms of Merlins coming out and doing their thing, and it's going to be absolutely deadly. Maybe there will be a couple of players with 5 or 6 fighters, but you gotta have a group with 20, 2 squadrons. That would be 24 snub fighters coming in front of you. They're gonna die. They're gonna die. It's gonna be just a numbers game.
You can go in the front, but that'll be a bit.
It's getting dark now, John.
So there we go.
We can fit a lot of cargo, safer way to transport goods. That's also true. Plus, that thing is not going to die very easily, I think. And we are going to need some capital ship killers. Of course, people already have the Ares Iron. I get it, right? But I think that the Idris killer is going to be the Polaris with all of its torpedoes, yeah. I think that when the Polaris will come out, those who have an Idris, they are going to feel the heat. But at the same time, the Idris will be able to hold its own with its own large size guns, its railgun as well. These are going to be really interesting tactical fights when the Polaris will be out.
In Squadron, there is space for 2 Gladiuses, Gladii, and
Gladii, yeah. So in Squadron, space for 2, but yeah, as you can see, we can definitely fit 3 there.
there's a space for the Argo and PV at the back, but you can technically fit 3 ships in here.
I mean, we could squeeze a 4th one, right? We could totally squeeze a 4th one.
Yeah, when you first land, you'll sort of notice
Oh, it says caution here.
that the exits for the hangar are generally sort of at a lower level. One of the things we do a lot of throughout the ship actually is just slight changes in elevation, even though you're on the same deck. And the general layout is fairly symmetrical, I would say. The ship, when it was first put together, was really sort of, I would say, designed from the inside out. So there was a lot of amendments on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, look at all those rooms. That thing is insane. This is like an entire FPS level that's going to be moving all around the PU. This is crazy, man.
The exterior to make the interior. You know, interior to me is always king. You spend a lot longer on the interior of the ship. So we sculpted the exterior skin around that.
Whoa. Wow. Wow, and all of that will be moving persistently in the verse. This is wow. That is yeah. I think we really realize a bit more everything that's going on here with this ship when we see this kind of view here.
If you were to hide that exterior, I mean, there is no breathing room. It is like a bit of an engineering masterpiece, to be honest.
So this is where the MPUV hangs from the ceiling.
So they do have a little hangar for the MPUV.
Skydiving also.
Yeah,
Go skydiving.
I've watched many people accidentally fall out the bottom of the Idris in atmosphere out that hole. So don't do that.
Or if you want to recreate the alien dropship scene, it's
Do
pretty
that.
cool.
Oh, this is cool. So it's like a little It's like a little shuttle, you know?
The gravity room, which was originally upstairs. We had to shift things around through the process again, taking inspiration from, you know, real-world scientific areas. That whole room actually closes into its own cylinder. You have to sort of open the door to sort of get in.
I wonder if people will be able to get stuck inside.
It's quite a trip. And for all intents and purposes, unless you're going to your bunk or you're going to very specific areas like the briefing room or the gravity room, which you've just seen there, there are no dead ends. It was put together when I was on the ship and originally sort of designed it. It was very much sort of focused around multiplayer combat at the time, and you know, a good multiplayer map is you've always got options. You've always got at least 2 options.
Yeah, so they are. That's what I'm talking about. They were thinking about multiplayer FPS combat with, you know, the Idris map. I hope this is going to come into Arena Commander. Can you imagine an Arena Commander map with the Idris? That would be fantastic.
Every corridor.
Please, guys,
every
CIG,
room.
make
You're
it happen.
constantly flowing around it.
No dead end. So yeah, as you can see.
I actually had a bug this morning come through about the writing on the wall being shorthand.
Oh dear.
So it's spelt incorrectly.
Oh.
I was like, no, it's not. It's an intentional choice.
Yeah.
So this is like
So
the
we've got the ATC room, which
Yes.
overlooks the hangar, which is obviously very useful for being an ATC. We'll come back later to the other side to see what's in there.
Players are not going to be using that, are they? I mean, there's not going to be I mean, I can see engineers doing stuff, but there's not going to be an actual ATC role for players.
There's a lot of
Are they going to be able to
decks
open the
to
door
the
from
Idris.
here?
Yeah. Yeah, there's the sub deck in the Argo, which you know
Yeah.
you'd have seen, or the utility vehicle, I should call it. You've got your main deck. This is the sort of the main symmetrical area, and then through the heart, I would say the center of that sort of floor plan is all of the, I would say, business side of the room. So obviously you've got your mess hall here.
That is one big mess and one
Chow
big
line.
kitchen there.
Don't talk about the chow line. It's there.
I hear roast lamb is still on special.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an inside joke, but
Come on, no. Oh. There we go. CIG still doing the monetization in their videos. That is really unacceptable.
sleeping quarters.
This is for your general crew
Yep.
for the ship. The bunks have shutters on them, a bit more privacy.
This is so big. Like we cannot even see the. I mean, we can, but it's like we cannot see the end of it. How many crew members are there in this ship? 50, 80? It's like the whole server would be inside this ship, you know?
With inbuilt home entertainment system.
So this is
Oh, cool.
2 mirrored, I guess, solo cabins. The pilots get their own little area at the end.
Which are about to
Nice.
get a little bit bigger, but you didn't hear that from me.
Okay, this is the captain's quarter. Oh, we can sneak here through the.
So
door.
the version that you're seeing here is taken from a point in time on Squadron recently, but there are lots of little tweaks that we'll talk about in the future to deliver more of the Idris.
There's the
One of
office
them,
here. Seems
the
kinda
missile
empty
room, is
here.
a big one that's still to come that is not available here at this time.
Oh no!
But there's, like Nate said, lots of other little tweaks as we get closer to shipping Squadron that we'll be making.
Again, inspirations
like Chris
with
Roberts.
regards to archetype for Aegis. You know, you can see there's a strong inspiration from some of my favourite 1980s movies.
Yeah, and they're definitely taking assets that already exist, you know, like those chairs or maybe some of the panels that they've made for other
here.
ships.
I like to see, you know, material breakup, introduce textures, leather where we can do to make it feel a bit softer and more inviting, as a good habitational area should be. And it's different for different ships, right? But when you're designing it,
But I don't know, leather on a capital ship that has a military purpose, I'm not so sure about it. It's gonna be fake leather, but still, it's
a
expensive.
capital ship, it kind of needs to tick all of the boxes. From a putting the ship together point of view, everything is modular. So you'll notice probably in the PU now, a lot of these elements are reused in some of the Aegis ships.
Yes,
simply
that's
because,
what I was talking
you know,
about.
We try and put the ships together in a modular fashion. And the bigger the ship gets, the more modular it needs to be. You really want to avoid doing too much unique
And
stuff.
that's why we are seeing a lot of RSI ships these days. You know, they're working on the Zeus, they're working on the Polaris, they'll be working on the Apollo as well, and eventually they're going to be working on the Orion too. And why they can do that, that's because they are building those little assets bit by bit that they are going to be putting all together for the bigger ships. And that's what they did here with the Idris and the previous Aegis ships as well.
Because it will hammer your video memory. Because this was I would say it's the first capital ship we done. It is the first, isn't it? Yeah, and it was really sort of, you know, genesis of, this was put into production actually around the same time as the Retaliator. And
Wow, that was a long time ago. The Retaliator, we got it, I think we got the Retaliator even before Alpha 3.0. We got the Retaliator in like 2.5 or 2.6. Correct me in the chat or in the comment section on YouTube if I'm wrong, but I think the Retaliator was way back in 2016 or yeah, it was like in 2016 or 2017. Yeah, it was
many years ago, and it was at that time that we started to establish, you know, a really good understanding of how we want habitational areas to feel and look, feeling being a prominent feature.
Yeah, because they did show the Idris at 2017 Gamescom. Yeah, so that's how long it took them to build this ship and make it in a releasable state.
Engineering,
and
again,
still not finished, as they said.
completely
Still have to do a
different.
few
You've got the
details.
technology side of it and the medical side of it. So they became the sort of like 4 style guides, I would say, that became the, you know, the springboard for a lot of the other ships to sort of follow on from.
Yeah, you see a lot of similar stuff in the Hammerhead, which actually uses a lot of the
Yeah, and the medical room definitely looks like some kind of room you would see in a clinic.
Idris kit as well. Different areas have their different technical feeling.
You'll notice here when you come in through the centre of the med bay, for example, there are very little right angles. When you look at the floor plan, for example, it generally dollies off at 45-degree angles or 60-degree angles. I don't like right angles in floor plans. Things need to flow.
Yeah, and it
As
looks
you can
very
see
smooth.
there, you're going to get a right angle when you come out of a door. There's not much you can do about that. But
Okay, so this dev, he doesn't like Drake, because in Drake ships, they do have right angles.
yeah, and it's all interweaved. You'll notice there's lots of windows that look outside. There's lots of windows that look back into the hangar. So we're
And
not doing
that's
any
awesome.
cheating.
And the ability to see what's happening outside in real time in games, I love
here.
this.
Yeah, right at the front of the ship now. So this is the manned turret at the front, the big one.
Oh, the
at
big
top.
one at the top, right?
And lots of escape pods here for everyone that's in the sort of upper front half if things go sideways and you need to get off the ship. So going back down starboard side, have to do the bathroom head of port and starboard.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
interesting you
they're
mentioned that, John,
going
because
to be keeping the-
navigation has been a little bit of an issue. So these corridors that you're running around at the moment, they're going to have a lot more of an injection of colour in the future. So you'll have a much
Okay,
better
so they're putting some
understanding of
colours
whether you're
here.
going forwards or backwards or whether you're on the left or the right. Worth noting as well, like all the spaces that you see.
Oh, so they have these color codes to tell you in which part of the ship you are. Okay, yeah, that's smart. It's like a parking garage.
Being are completely undressed. There are, you know, tens of thousands of entities that end up on top of what you're seeing for Squadron because it needs to feel more lived in, it needs to tell that story. So it's kind of bare bones seeing it this way, which is kind of strange for me at the
Yeah,
moment.
it was very strange when we were getting this ready for the PU to take off all those layers and sort of see it in a state that we've not seen.
Plus also we're not seeing it with NPCs.
Yeah.
When you see this with NPCs and, you know, people walking around carrying out their duties, engineers doing their things at panels or whatnot, it feels lived in, it feels alive.
Yes, that is going to be a whole difference between the PU and Squadron 42. And overall, that's also why I think Squadron 42 is a very interesting project, because it's going to give the idea of what the PU could be if everybody was role-playing and doing this seriously. But of course, players are players, right? They want to have fun, they want to play, they're going to do crazy things. So that's why it's never going to feel like a real warship, unless you are in some kind of org, which really has this RP and seriousness vibes, but that's not going to be the reality for the huge majority of players. And so for those who want to really experience that feeling of immersion, the feeling of being part in a real crew, that's what Squadron 42 is going about. And that's also what they're explaining here. That's why they have all those extra shaders and all those NPCs. I cannot wait to experience that. I'm pretty sure we'll see a little bit more of that in Squadron 42 in this year's season.
Hopefully when it goes into the PU, there'll be plenty of people running around anyway.
Yeah.
Which will
there
make
you
it
go.
feel very similar for you guys.
Hamster balls.
You want to get buff, go to the gym.
I don't know what we had there originally opposite the ATC. Was it? It was the pilot.
It was the pilot ready area, but we moved the pilot ready area down to the same level as the hangar, so you can get your gear, scramble out as quickly as possible, rather than getting your gear,
Run down a flight of stairs.
falling down 2 flights of stairs, and then sort of hobbling into your ship with a broken ankle.
Then going further back.
Yes, and remember that in the future, players are going to have stats that may change based on your actions. So going to the gym perhaps will give you a little extra strength or extra stamina, which could be quite useful, which will explain why there is actually a gym and it's going to have a purpose.
We're sort of halfway, 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, you got your sort of, I think...
The crossover point here.
Yeah, you got 2 crossover points on the hangar. Now you're going to sort of come through, and this is where a lot of the asymmetry comes in, although the footprint is sort of similar. You'll come through. On one side you've got Brig, which is where all the naughty people go, and we have a lot of naughty people in the game. There's a security office in there, and on the opposite side of that is, basically the opposite side of the ship, is the armory, which you'll see in a little bit.
Big escape pods, so big shared ones rather than individual pods. You might have seen, as we've gone around, some big red signposted rooms. They, I believe, have EVA airlocks in them, as well as sort of maintenance storage areas, so all signposted so you know in a hurry where to go. Then the main briefing room.
Main briefing room, again, integral to Squadron. This is where you're going to get your mission briefings.
Oh my gosh, they have all the seats here. That's so cool.
It's a big ship.
Yep.
There's a lot to it.
Like I say, there's a lot crammed in.
Yeah.
Man, I can imagine already, orgs, org members sitting there. You have the org leaders talking to people in game. That would be so cool.
Now we're on the opposite side to where the brig was. So this is the armory and shooting range.
Quite a bit of inspiration from RoboCop.
Oh,
As
yes.
you can probably all tell, I'm a bit of an 80s buff.
So here, where are the targets? So that's where players are going to be practicing.
When it comes to the movies, when I had to do things for real, actually build things, it visually makes quite a big difference to me as a visual kind of guy.
That firing range area is another one of the areas that has changed around a bit over time, because it was an all-in-one.
I think it was on the other side as well.
Yeah.
I think we
I mean, I would imagine that in Squadron 42 there will be some kind of tutorial or training where players are going to be able to use that shooting range and maybe get better with the various weapons that they're going to handle in the game.
That's it. And then we got into the logistics of, what happens if you take your gun away from there? What's going to happen to you as a player? So there was, 'cause you're not supposed to walk around a military ship with a firearm in your hand, basically. So, yeah, lots of minor changes there. More for the social experience.
Okay, next.
So this is above the rear of the hangar, not all the way at the back, because it has
Cargo
two
room?
lifts that go down to, or one lift that goes down to the... Two?
Yeah,
Or one each side.
there's one each side that connects with the hangar. So if you're bringing in supplies or
Yes.
getting ready to go out on a long journey into the depths of
Oh
space.
man, that ship is going to have its own cargo elevator. That is awesome.
You can, utility vehicle drops the cargo off and you can load up pretty efficiently.
Nice. Yeah, freight elevator inside the ship.
Decontamination area before you get into what would be the engine room.
Decontamination? Are we gonna have viruses and diseases in the game? Oh,
Very different feeling, like we talked about.
I remember, yeah, we've seen that. I think it was the briefing room where they're showing this character here who was talking to us, and then if you go away, gets upset that we go away.
You head to the rest of the ship.
Yeah, it's the thing with Aegis, we sort of looked at a lot of real-world scientific, I would say, hydrogen colliders, nuclear reactors. CERN was a big sort of inspiration with a lot of the paneling and general sort of feel. And that's continued in the Gauntlet and a lot of the other Aegis ships that you'll see.
The Gauntlet? I think What is the Gauntlet? Is that is the Gauntlet the name of an Idris, or is this another ship that we don't know about?
And then there's you will have seen them dotted around in all the corridors, but there's a lot of wall panels that hold all the components. So whilst we do have some big capital size components like in the engine room, there's a lot of sort of secondary redundancy with all these extra wall panels dotted around. So if one area of the ship goes down, it's not completely scuppered. You can still route power around.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing in the original design document, John, where if life support systems went down on the rear of the ship, there's actually sort of like large bulkheads that close that section of the ship off.
Oh, so they've got those security doors, just like in real life, right? There's like they're losing atmosphere, for example, that it's just going to close. If there's like a big fire, they're going to close it as well. They're gonna wait until the air depletes. There's no more oxygen, and the fire will go. That's smart. That's smart, because, you know, with the resource management system, the air, of course, is going to be simulated. So if they do that, you'll just close the door, wait until everything gets consumed, and then once there's no more oxygen, just open it again. Okay, that's good.
So the rest of the ship can survive. So again, you know, thinking about sort of multiplayer aspect, if you were to try and ambush one of these things, I think there's going to.
Oh yeah, you could actually get, you know, hostile players stuck behind those doors. You know, you close the blast doors, they're stuck behind. You're like, haha, what you gonna do now? But at the same time, the hostile players, they're gonna have to try to find a way to open the door as well. There's gotta be a mechanism on the other side to open the door too, because otherwise it's not gonna be fun. But I love this idea. That's really smart.
It'll be quite a lot of fun to be had.
Yeah, those bulkheads, I think you probably will have seen some of them in the corridors, as we watch big
yellowy orange.
Yellowy orange,
okay.
Oh, come on, we've seen it. Oh. Well, what ship was that? Is that a Valkyrie that's entering? I think it's a Valkyrie or a Terrapin. If you guys know what ship this is, let me know. I think it's a Terrapin. Yeah, it's a Terrapin.
The layout as well, the engine room, you'll notice, is pretty much, if you were boarding the ship from the hangar, pretty much the most well-protected room of the ship. Again, with that multiplayer feeling in mind. I think going off, do you remember Titan mode?
Oh, there you go. There you have those big doors closing.
Squadron, not Squadron, Battlefield.
Yeah.
Really just trying to create this sort of layer up on layer until you get to the engine room to make that quite difficult to ultimately disable the ship.
Like we talked about, there's a lot of flow in the interior, but there are those areas that have very distinct choke points to get to, like the bridges.
Now, they need to have FPS missions, you know, board the Idris, disable it, you know, disable a Parrot Idris or a Xenothreat Idris, right? They need to have that. And they need to put that in Arena Commander as well. Get us, please, CIG, get us some Arena Commander maps of the Idris so we can fight inside.
And whilst there is multiple ways to get there, they're
so we can
quite
get to
well
know the ship,
defendable. Right? And then the engine room is the other. So those are two areas you really don't want people getting to uninvited.
Yeah.
There's a few ways you can go up to the bridge. There's obviously this lift. But there is also a set of staircases either side.
Oh man, these staircases are so big.
So you have these sort of tactical stations at the back, flanking each side, down on a lower level from the main bridge area.
So what are they for?
I think
Out of power.
thing I would say most proud of on the bridge. There's been a lot of rework done, but you'll notice here the view out. It's pretty spectacular.
The view is fantastic. Yeah, I think they removed the big strut there, right?
What would be, you know, the cross frame, which went across the front of the ship. So you got completely unobstructed views out to space. But it still feels chunky and weighty, which it needs to, which is, you know, a success.
Oh, this is fantastic.
So that was a...
Man, I cannot wait to see that in the verse. I don't own an Idris. If you have an Idris, also let me know in the chat or the comment section down below. I don't have one. But I definitely want to get in one. This is such an awesome ship. Squadron 42 cannot come soon enough.
A little bit of a director's commentary on the Idris, which hopefully you'll have seen and experienced as part of the event that's been going on in the Persistent Universe recently.
Oh my gosh, and Juliax, you've got one, but not an M, I see.
And as great as the ship looks in the video and the event, there's still quite a bit of work to do before we can give it to players to have for real. Things like resource network, multi-crew gameplay, all these things that make it an actual living, breathing capital ship that you want to run and own. That's pretty much it for now.
Yeah, that's gonna take a couple of months until it's ready for the PU. Basically, they're gonna wait until Squadron 42, right? Yeah, that's what they said. That's what's gonna be happening.
Yeah, to echo what John said, hope you enjoyed what you saw. Still a ways to go with regards to sort of delivering, the ship as a whole for the PU. But I just want to give a shout out to all the teams that have been involved in working on it. I mean, the list is endless. Artists, designers, concept artists, lighting crew, social design, level design. I mean, it's huge.
I would be very interesting to know how many people worked on the Idris. Like, we're pretty much at over several hundreds, I would imagine. Several hundreds.
There is literally hundreds of people involved in delivering such an asset to yourselves, and we really hope with the limited time that you get it, that you really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And when that thing is going to get into the hands of the players, finally, that is going to make worldwide news in the gaming industry. People are going to be talking about it. And I think that it's also going to be quite an asset for Star Citizen as a game as well. People are going to be attracted to see, what is this massive ship that's fully explorable with a complete interior that people can own and go around and do so many things inside, right? It's just going to be mind-blowing.
I'd be surprised if there's people at the company that haven't touched it in some way or form over the years. It's such a big part of the experience.
All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this Inside Star Citizen. I wish I had taken part of the Idris War game. I hope it comes back. I hope that they're making it a bit more available than just a few servers. And I hope that they have learned a couple of things from it. Let's see what Jared has to say about it.
So what we learned this week? Well, we learned that the Idris is a delight to behold inside and out, that it's benefited and continues to do so from years of iteration in Squadron 42, that there's still lots to be done beyond the currently fantastic art to bring the gameplay to it that it and its owners deserve, and that when all that is said and done, this is going to be one heck of an addition to the Persistent Universe. For Inside Jared Huckabee...
Inside Jared Huckabee.
Oh no! Idris, the ship you've been looking for?
For Inside Jared Huckabee, that's so funny.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week. Some weeks you have it, some weeks you don't.
Alright guys, I'm gonna get some more coffee and we've got so many things to talk about. So yeah, let's get started here.